All right, let's talk about what we need to do to get our game and our levels all set up for this week's homework. So all we need to do is take a look at our directory. You should have downloaded, and I made a folder called Pennington, and I call it Unity stuff. Inside there, I have downloaded the Capstone Designers files, which are, if I look at this, they are do not art design. Wait, they're here. Yeah, it's this right here. I've downloaded this and then opened it and put the folder that is inside of there, which has the whole game, inside of here. Okay, I haven't got the latest, so if it's a little off, that's totally fine. I've then this is the designer stuff. So then I come back out here and I've downloaded all of the FBXs you both made, or everybody made. And then I'll come back out here, and here's all the textures that Kimberly put together. So I have all these three things separately in here. So what do I need to do? Well, when I open up Unity, if I open Unity here, you're going to see it comes up with a bunch of questions, which game I want to work on. And ignore all these. You may just have, learning one or some basic one. We don't see the game we just were looking at. We're looking for the game that's right here called Capstone Designer. So how do I get that to show up in here? Well, I'm going to cancel this, close my Unity. I'm going to copy this, copy Control C. I'm going to go down to where my Unity folder is. And when you make Unity first time, it's going to build a folder where you want to put it. I put it inside my ACC classes, inside my but you can see all those names you just saw that were classes up there. They're all sitting right here. Well, if I go to that Unity folder and I paste, you'll see it's going to paste all of that stuff from designer stuff Unity, the designer stuff. It's going to paste all this capstone in parentheses designers in here, and there it is. I think it's done. No, it can't be done. So it's going to paste all that stuff in there, and I'll pause it real quick so you don't have to watch. Okay, it's done. So inside of here, you're going to see there's Capstone Designers inside my Unity folder, and that's great. It looks like, they're all laid out there. So now if I open up Unity, what do I see? I see it. Now, if it doesn't show up, sometimes that happens, all you need to do is say open, point to the Capstone Designers folder, select the folder, and it will open it for you. Sometimes it didn't show up. It may be showing up simply for me now because it was already in that folder before and I moved it and reopened it. But then it's going to open up that whole project, which Justin and the other designers have been working on. And I will pause it again. And now it's opened up. So when I open it up, you may see that there's some settings that are different. The way that Justin lays it out is different. You're absolutely welcome to change it around however you see fit. And that is your call. This is the shot from the camera. We don't really need that right now. I'm going to kill that. All I have to do is push X. Timeline, I don't need that. Animation, I don't need that. I don't need any of this stuff right now. All we're trying to do is put the stuff we want inside of here. I'm used to the standard hierarchy or layout of Unity, so I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put the project over here on the bottom half of it. Then I don't need Pro Builder, I don't need Audio Mixer, I don't need Console. Just to be clear, everything we're going to do in a few minutes is breaking what Justin has done. So this by no means ever gets checked in to overwrite Justin's stuff. All we're going to end up doing is setting up the levels and then figuring out how we want to get what you've done to replace the geometry in here. I'm going to talk about what the geometry in here is real quick before we get started. And what I do like is to have two of these, project, add tab, project. And I will put that one here. So now I have two projects the same height. Okay. And I see this. Okay, so if I look at this, right now where I am at is, if you look at the top here, it says crypt01.unity. That's not the level we want to open. You either want to open 2.2 or 2.1 or 3.1 or 3.2, depending on which ones you're working on, or 4.1. So to do that, all we have to do is say File, Open Scene, or you can go to the Scenes folder and you can see they're all listed right here. I'm going to open 2.1 just to make it simple. I'm going to double click on it and it opens it up. I can also say File, Open, and go to that scene. Now when I look at this inside of here, let me get this to my normal way of looking at stuff here. When I look at this inside of here, it's going to look like it's just the geometry that you've remade, but it's really not. These are what are called prefabs, and if you click on them, you're going to see that it's got this blue highlight to them. They're all blue. And if I click down and open it up, it's each of the parts. If you remember when you collapsed all your pieces together, that's what's in here. Those pieces as separate pieces again. So they also have scripting on them and things like that. So we'll talk to Justin on the best way to get this set up. One other thing you might notice is that their center point is a little bit different possibly than the ones you worked on, but that's okay. So these are the pieces that we want to change. How do we change them? Where do we get the pieces you've made? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this folder right here. It says 16 and R12, and what I'm going to do is come into the art, and I'm going to right click in here. Let me see what's in the scene folder. I'm not going to make a scene folder. We're going to say replacement folder. So I'm going to right click inside of the art folder and say create folder called part replacements. All right. Then I'm going to go back to my Windows Explorer and see if I go inside of that Capstone Designers and I go inside of Assets and I go inside of Art, I can see there's a parts replacement folder right there. Well, guess what we're going to put in there? We're going to come back in to the Unity stuff, go to the reconfigured FBXs, and we're going to say by type, and we're going to click at the top and click to the bottom, depending on how you had this all copied. We're going to say Control C, and we're going to come down to part replacements folder and Control V. Okay, so Control C, Control V. There we have it. Now all your pieces are in there. While we're doing that, let's also do something else. Let's look at our materials and textures. Yeah, we're not going to lay it out like this. So what we're going to do is go to Art. We're going to make a new folder. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll make a new folder called Environments. You know what? Let's not even deal with that right now. I'm just going to delete that new folder. I was thinking that we'd set it up, but there's some things we need to do before we do that. So let's just keep everything inside of one place. We're going to make a folder inside of this parts replacement folder called New Folder Materials. And not a cap. And it's important you name it that way. All right, with the exact spelling and everything with the S and all that. And then we're going to say new folder, and we're going to call it textures. Like that. Okay. We're going to open that up. We're going to come to the textures that Kimberly has made for us. And we're going to come to the bottom of them and grab them all. I'm not just selecting all because I don't want to grab that. We're going to Control C, come to the parts replacement, textures, paste. So now we have all the parts in one place, and in the same folder we have all the textures in the same place. Okay. Now if we come back to Unity, and I move this out of the way here and then click on Unity, you'll see that it starts thinking. What it's doing is importing all the pieces we just made. Makes our life a little bit easier. Ignore my computer. It likes to make a big to-do about nothing. My 1080 is just, for whatever reason, super loud. All right, close that. I'm going to change this to add a tab, inspector, and then we're going to make 2 inspectors. Just how I work. You can set it up any way you want. Okay. So, now, what we're going to do is click on one of these. You're going to see it's this one right there. And then we're going to go to Art. And we're going to go to Part Replacements. We're going to click in that folder. And you're going to see that in that folder, in fact, we'll do it here. We're going to find room R20 or R 12 by 8. So we're going to come down to room 12 by 8, and we're going to throw it. Just throw it into the scene. So now we've got a one that looks like this, and then we've got one that looks like this. This little box here means it's an geometry. Okay, so one more thing we have to do before I do that, come to think of it. Let's take a look at this right here. When we look at stuff inside of Unity, we can see the properties of it. And what it's done by default is embed the material into the object. The problem with embedding the material in the object is that it doesn't allow us to edit those materials very easily. So we're going to change that to use external material and say apply. And I believe we can grab all of them and do it too. Embedded material, use external material, and apply. Okay, it's going to make all of those have those materials that were attached to them now be separated and actually put right in here. And you should have all the same depending on if you named everything correctly. It looks like there's maybe one extra one in here, so somebody missed a part, but that's fine. Okay, so now we come back to here, and let's do one more thing. I'm going to grab that room 12.8 that matches this one. That's R. We need R12.8. Okay. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to click this button up here. Okay, and this button has the two little parts that go like it's a slider. We're going to click on it, and it's going to open up a select preset. And we're going to say separate, and let's just say material, spelled right here. External. Okay, we named it that. I think actually I may be doing this wrong here. Hold on. Save current to, and then FBX importer. We're going to call it material external. And for whatever reason, my thumb always is slower than the rest of me. There. And we save it to part replacement. Yep, that's fine. Save. Okay. Now, if we look inside of this part replacement folder, we'll see. And what I'm going to do actually is just move it straight to the art folder. Come to the art folder, you'll see that there's the maternal, and you'll see that it's set so the external materials are used. Then we're going to click this button right here. Bonk. Now, whenever you import an object into the game, it will have these as separate. All right. So that's all set up and ready to go. Back to the part replacement. So if we look in here, we find R 12 by 8, which is this one, and we just drag it into the scene. Okay, and you'll notice it should look really similar. Now, what we want is this information right here, and I'll lock it, to match what this one has over here. So how do we do that? We grab it, we right click on the transform word, and we say copy component, and then we come over to this one and we say right click again and say, oops, wrong one, right click on this one and say paste component values, and it pops it to position. Now what I was saying about them not being exactly the same is this, that they don't exactly match, and it's one of the things I got to figure out what's going on with, but for now just eyeball them. We're only doing this to make sure that the textures look right so you guys can start making your environments set up. We're not going to play through this. It's not set up to play through. These are just visual representations for us to work with. So now I've got this laid in here, and it's overlapping the other one, right? So we don't necessarily want that. All I have to do is come up to the original, the 12 by 8 right here, and click on this button. Let me turn this lock off. Click on this button, and it makes it disappear. So now the only one we're seeing is this one. So you should have all the pieces already made. All you have to do is replace them. If you notice differences between the pieces you've made and the pieces that are in the game, that means that probably you've done something wrong with the pieces you made. Like I noticed that the stairs don't have a back wall. That needs to be fixed and re-exported and put up so we all get that copy. But let's show you the next step. After you get these all replaced, what's the next thing you do? Well, if you look at this, you can see it's got all these materials on it like that. And if I click on them, I now see they're not grayed out. All I have to do, when I go to path, border, let's go to path. Come down to path, go to textures, and you'll see all these textures are listed out for me. And I'm going to come to this, and I'm going to say, first I'm going to change that from pink to white, because we used color to get it all set up, but when we get into the game, it's going to overlap the color. So we'll just start with Ancient Stone and say base color, Ancient Stone. We drag into Albedo, bam. All right, and then we say base Ancient Stone height map. We throw it on the height. We say Ancient Stone be normal map. We throw it on the normal. And then it's going to come up with this error. Every time you put a new normal in the game, it doesn't set it up right. So we need to just say fix now, and it'll fix it. We're going to say metallic roughness. And the problem, okay, we'll deal with this for right now. When you get stuff out of Designer, it's different than when you get stuff out of the others. So I'm going to say drag it onto there. And what it did is it made it super shiny. So we're just going to pull down this slide right here because it doesn't have an alpha, so the alpha made it super shiny. Like that. All right, so the first thing you may notice is this looks like really big and super still shiny. Let's pull that back a little bit more. There we go. How do I fix that? Well, right down here, and do we have an ambient? We do have an ambient occlusion. Put that, well, that's C. Sorry, we'll come up to B, ambient occlusion. Put that on there. Okay. All we have to do is tile it. And I say we tile it either 0.5 or 0.25. Oh, that's backwards. Either tile it 1, 2, or something close to that. Now 2 may still be too big, so we may end up going to, let's say, 3. Let's try 4. I'm totally guesstimating. We need to see what looks best and come back and decide this. So 4 looks pretty good. So there's our Ancient Stone now put into the game. Let's do another one. Let's go to Path Border. And this one we'll try. And if you want to see what the textures look like, you can. Let's see. It's going to open it for me inside of Photoshop, but if you had it open to a different program, if you double click it, it opens it in the program that it's usually used to open it. So, and it opened it way over here for some reason, and it opened some odd version of Photoshop. So I'm just going to drag it over here for now. I think I just had an update to my Photoshop. So that's the actual texture. That's what it looks like. So we're going to close this, close that. Another way to do it is to throw it in. Let's throw it in albedo. And then if you control click on it, you can see the texture. I wonder if you, it's been a while since I've done, yeah. So once you put it in here, if you control and then click on it, you can see what the texture looks like. So output height, we'll put it right there. Output stone normal, we'll put it right there. We're going to get the error refix. Output stone roughness right here. We turn this way down, otherwise it gets really dark. And then output ambient occlusion. And then I think that the last one we did 4, so we'll do 4 by 4 and see what that looks like. Now, come in here, play around, see if you like what you're getting. Oops, I lost it. But if you don't be afraid to, you know, the other thing we need to do is turn this to white so we can see the texture better. Don't be afraid to change them around. Once you do the normal once, by the way, you don't have to do it again. So if we come back and look at this one, let's do this back wall here, which will be the green one. So we'll come to the green, and I'm going to change this to white. And I'm going to use one of the murals that were made here. B, ambient occlusion. And then we'll do base color up in here. If I look at it, that's what it's supposed to be. So we will come over to base height, normal, roughness, fix now, drop down, probably Still too shiny. Huh. Okay, let's try 4 by 4. There we go. Much better. So now we're getting ideas of the way things should look. And, you know, these are just roughed in things. Now, the cool thing is, if you decide you want all your stuff to... let me do this last little bit here, actually. Here's the doorway. Let's make the doorway... Actually, let's do this outside edge as dirt. So we're going to come into base color, output B, throw it into dirt. Change this to white for now. Okay, take a look at the dirt. Oops. Alright. Output height goes to height. Output normal goes to normal. Fix the normal. Output roughness goes to roughness, our metal, and we'll fix that eventually. We're going to turn this way down. And then output ambient occlusion goes to ambient occlusion. Okay. And then we'll do 4 by 4 again. Let's see what we got here. Let's do 5 by 5. So we get something different there. Okay. And then I'm not going to worry about the ceiling. We'll do this one over here, though. So doorways, we will do ancient stone C. Base, or D, base color. Let's throw that in there and see what it looks like. Yeah, sure. Base color, ancient stone D. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Ancient. Okay. Just looks like I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. Grab the right one. Base color, height goes to height. Normal goes to normal. Fix the normal. And then roughness goes to roughness. Turn down the smoothness value. Change the color to white. Change the scale of them for now to 4, and we're again, these are just roughing in kind of what we're trying to do here. They aren't by any means the final versions, and they tile issues right here and stuff like that we'll fix. Remember, we're just trying to get a feel for what you want your levels to look like, and this may just be the fastest way to do it. And there's some unwrapping issues here, and we can talk about that later. But the next thing we're going to do is, come in here, is start putting color to them. So one way to do that is to just throw color on here. But right now it seems really dark. Yeah, let's just throw colors on them. So you just have that same texture set here, and we're going to say I'm going to make everything kind of brown in mine, and we'll just kind of go brown. And now our walls are starting to get browner. And then we go to metallic. We don't have to worry about that one. You only have to do this to each color area. And if you're smart, like I wasn't, you can take this and say, grab it. Oops. Huh. Did it wrong again. This, take your browns, say you want this color brown here, and then just grab this hexadecimal number, copy, and then go to the next one, and then click this and paste your hexadecimal, so at least you're all matching. Now if you want your stones in the middle to be a different color, you can do that, but at least you have a starting point on the wall. We'll click here and paste the hexadecimal. And then, let's see, path we'll leave for now. Ceiling, we'll just paste the hexadecimal so it doesn't look so green. Close it, and then the outside edge, we can decide if we want to leave that way or if we want to make it darker. Probably going to end up making it darker, but let's just paste the hexadecimal and then go from darker from there so they all match at least. Then we can go a little bit darker. Okay. So that's all we're looking for, is for you to all plan this out. Now, they don't have to match color-wise. I mean, that's the idea, is that you're starting to get a feel for what you think it's going to look like. My suggestion is, and I just showed you this all at once, is that you put all the textures in that you need. Then you come back and start figuring out color passes. And we'll talk about lighting in another video. And that's it. That's the homework, or that's where you need to try and be by Tuesday, just having all these pieces in the 2 levels you're working on replaced with the proper geometry that you all have worked on. All right, if you're missing any pieces, then ignore those and we'll figure out what happened to them and make sure you get your hands on them. Thanks.